What if I told you that Cadillac's most controversial engine wasn't actually a Cadillac at all? For decades, they've kept this dirty secret buried. But today I'm exposing the corporate conspiracy that nearly destroyed America's most prestigious luxury brand. Picture this: the proud company that pioneered V8 technology in 1915, the brand that set the standard of the world, was forced to use engines from its little sister divisions. Oldsmobile and Chevrolet engines wearing Cadillac badges? Yes, it happened. From the oil crisis of the 1970s to the corporate cost-cutting of the 1990s, I'm revealing the shocking truth behind the Cadillac 350 V8 that automotive journalists and manufacturers don't want you to know. Buckle up, because what you're about to discover will change everything you thought you knew about luxury cars. Let me take you back to the glory days before the betrayal. Cadillac didn't just build cars, they built legends. Since 1915, Cadillac dominated American luxury with their exclusive V8 engines, power so refined that everyone else was playing catch-up. Their 1949 overhead valve V8 set the industry standard, producing 160 horsepower while competitors struggled to match. By the 1960s, Cadillac was flexing with monster engines. The 429 cubic inch beast launched in 1964, followed by the legendary 472 and ultimately the Titanic 500 cubic inch V8 that delivered 400 horsepower in 1964-1970. These weren't just engines, they were mechanical masterpieces that screamed American luxury. But then something sinister happened. The oil crisis hit in 1973, and GM's executives saw their opportunity. Suddenly, those beautiful hand-built Cadillac engines were too expensive, too thirsty, too exclusive. In the boardrooms of Detroit, deals were struck in darkness. The sacred tradition of Cadillac's proprietary engines was about to be sacrificed on the altar of corporate cost-cutting. What happened next would send shockwaves through the luxury car world and forever change the meaning of the Cadillac name. The first betrayal came in 1976 when Cadillac shoved an Oldsmobile engine into the Seville. Can you believe that? The luxury brand that defined American excess was suddenly using Oldsmobile parts. This wasn't just any engine. It was the 350 cubic inch V8 that produced a pathetic 125 to 195 horsepower, depending on the year. The engine in the 1976 to 1979 Seville was marketed as a Cadillac engine, but was in reality produced by the Oldsmobile division. They dressed it up with fancy fuel injection and called it exclusive to Cadillac, but the truth couldn't be hidden from true enthusiasts. The specs tell the real story. While Oldsmobile's 350 V8 featured cast iron construction and a 4.0, 5.7-inch bore with a 3.385-inch stroke, it was designed for mere mortal cars, not luxury icons. The Seville version got electronic fuel injection to help it pretend to be something special, but underneath it was still an Oldsmobile heart beating inside a Cadillac body. Then GM doubled down on this insanity, extending the Oldsmobile 350 to other Cadillacs, and even offering a diesel version that barely managed 105 horsepower. A Cadillac with only 105 horsepower. Can you imagine the betrayal? The technical brilliance that once defined Cadillac was being replaced by cost-cutting mediocrity, all while buyers paid premium prices for the privilege of being deceived. Now, let's pull back the curtain on the real conspiracy. Behind closed doors at GM headquarters, executives were plotting the death of Cadillac's unique identity. Internal documents reveal that Cadillac's engineering team fought desperately to keep their proprietary V8, but corporate pressure won out. The bean counters saw dollar signs, while they ignored the Cadillac badge that once meant excellence above all else. They calculated that sharing engines across divisions would save millions, but they never counted the cost to the brand's soul. But the worst was yet to come. Engine failures were absurdly commonplace for the adapted Olds oil burner, culminating in a class action lawsuit, forcing GM to pay up to 80% of the cost to replace engines. The Oldsmobile Diesel 350 became a nightmare for Cadillac owners. Engines seizing, head gaskets failing, and dealerships overwhelmed with angry customers. This wasn't just a public relations disaster. It was a systematic destruction of everything Cadillac stood for. Mechanics across America were ripping out these imposter engines and replacing them with proper gas engines just to keep customers on the road. GM had essentially turned their flagship luxury brand into a testing ground for failed technology, all while charging Cadillac prices for Oldsmobile engineering. The conspiracy ran deep, from boardrooms to showrooms, and the evidence of planned obsolescence of Cadillac's proud heritage is undeniable. If you thought the corporate betrayal ended with passenger cars, think again. These imposter Cadillac engines never saw the glory of motorsports, and there's a good reason why. While the Chevrolet 350 dominated Formula 5000 racing around the world, these same engines wearing Cadillac badges were deemed unworthy of the racetrack. Imagine the humiliation. Cadillac, once synonymous with racing dominance, was forced to watch Chevy's engines win championships while their own luxury engines were relegated to shuttling executives around. The truth was clear to anyone paying attention. These weren't Cadillac engines, they were corporate hand-me-downs dressed up in chrome. True racing demands innovation, power, and pride, all qualities that GM had systematically stripped from Cadillac's engine program. The aftermarket community tried to fight back, with enthusiasts modifying these engines to restore some semblance of Cadillac performance. But it was like putting lipstick on a pig. The racing legacy that Cadillac built was being written out of history, replaced by engines that had never earned their stripes on the track. Consider the irony. While Chevrolet's 350 was setting track records and winning championships, Cadillac owners were left with engines that couldn't even maintain the brand's luxury car pedigree. Aftermarket tuners discovered that these corporate engines had hidden potential, but it required stripping away the luxury pretense entirely. The engines weren't bad, they were just wrong for Cadillac. They belonged in Chevrolets, in Oldsmobiles, in workhorses, not in the standard of the world. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The collector car market has spoken, and it's damning. Cadillacs with genuine Cadillac engines command premium prices, while these corporate compromises sit languishing in dealership lots and classified ads. Ask any serious collector, they'll pay double, sometimes triple for a pre-1976 Cadillac, with its original engine compared to these Oldsmobile or Chevrolet-powered imposters. The market knows what we're uncovering today, but there's a twist to this tale. Some models came with rare performance options, including flat-top pistons and specialized cams, creating unexpected sleeper cars in the Cadillac lineup. These hidden gems represent the few bright spots in an otherwise dark chapter of Cadillac history. Smart collectors who know what to look for can find value in these unlikely packages. But they're the exception that proves the rule. The vast majority of these corporate engine Cadillacs are treated as second-class citizens in the collector market, a permanent reminder of GM's betrayal of the brand's heritage. Even among enthusiasts, there's a clear divide. Original Cadillac engines from the golden era fetch premium restoration dollars, while these corporate cast-offs often get swapped out entirely. Restoration shops report that many owners specifically request engine replacements back to real Cadillac power plants. The market has essentially criminalized these corporate engines, with auction values plummeting as buyers discover the truth beneath the hood. It's a permanent black mark on GM's corporate record. The impact of this corporate betrayal echoes through the automotive industry today. GM's decision to homogenize engines across divisions set a precedent that luxury manufacturers still follow. Mercedes sharing engines with Chrysler minivans, BMW putting Peugeot diesel powertrains in their luxury cars. This all started with GM's corrupting of Cadillac's pure bloodline. The very concept of what defines a luxury car was forever changed by these decisions made in Detroit's smoke-filled boardrooms. Fast forward to today, and roughly 150 GM dealers are dropping Cadillac from their showrooms entirely, a direct result of decades of mismanagement and brand dilution that began with these engine-sharing schemes. The pattern of cost-cutting continues, with modern Cadillacs sharing more and more components with lesser GM brands. What was once a complete betrayal of Cadillac's independence has become standard operating procedure across the luxury car segment. The decision to put an Oldsmobile engine in a Seville didn't just change one car, it changed the entire industry's approach to luxury vehicle development. The automotive press won't tell you this, but the Cadillac brand never fully recovered from this identity crisis. Today's Cadillacs, despite their attempts at performance credibility, still operate in the shadow of that original betrayal. When you see a modern Cadillac sharing platforms and powertrains with Chevrolet, you're seeing the legacy of that fateful decision in 1976. The industry learned that consumers would accept this compromise, paving the way for the homogenized luxury cars we see today. So, there you have it, the shocking truth they don't want you to know about Cadillac's darkest secret. What started as America's most prestigious luxury brand ended up using engines from its budget siblings, forever changing what it means to own a Cadillac. This wasn't just a simple cost-cutting measure, it was a systematic betrayal of everything the Cadillac name represented. The development and introduction of the V8, V16, and V12 helped to make Cadillac the standard of the world. But corporate greed chose to dismantle that legacy, one engine at a time. But the story doesn't end here. If you think this scandal is shocking, wait until you see what I'm uncovering next. Subscribe now and hit that notification bell because next week, I'm exposing the GM engine disaster that made millions disappear. And trust me, this one will make the Cadillac 350 controversy look like child's play. The automotive world is full of buried secrets, and I'm determined to dig them all up. Don't let the manufacturers control the narrative. Share this video with every car enthusiast you know who deserves to know the truth. Leave a comment below with your thoughts on this corporate betrayal. Were you or someone you know affected by these engine choices? Have you discovered any Cadillacs with these imposter engines? Let's build a community that demands authenticity in automotive engineering. Remember, when you understand the past, you can't be fooled by the present. This is just the beginning of exposing the automotive industry's darkest secrets. Stay tuned, stay informed, and never trust a badge without knowing what's underneath.